Imagine opening the acceptance letter you spent years dreaming about, or getting the job you sacrificed weekends for, or finally reaching the body you've always wanted. For a moment, it feels exactly how you imagined. But then, a few weeks pass. The excitement fades. Life feels normal again. And somehow, your mind has already moved on to the next goal. Why does that happen? Why does something that once felt impossible eventually become ordinary? Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar called this pattern the Arrival Fallacy. The Arrival Fallacy is the belief that reaching a future goal will finally create lasting happiness. That once you arrive, you'll finally feel complete. You'll finally stop searching. But the problem is, we ask a temporary moment to deliver a permanent identity. And that's a weight no single achievement can carry. At first, this sounds almost depressing. If every achievement eventually becomes normal, does that mean lasting happiness is impossible? The answer begins with something psychologists call hedonic adaptation. Your brain is designed to adjust. When something new and exciting enters your life, your emotions respond strongly. The dream job feels incredible. The new chapter feels like the beginning of everything. But over time, that intensity fades. Not because the achievement stopped mattering, not because you became ungrateful, but because your brain adapted to your new reality. The extraordinary became ordinary. And this ability to adapt is actually a survival mechanism. Without adaptation, emotional responses to every change would remain overwhelming and make it harder to respond effectively. Every change would consume us. Our brains are built to adjust. But that creates an uncomfortable question. If we adapt to the good things, does that mean happiness is always short-lived? In the early 1970s, psychologists Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell described how people adapt to life's highs and lows. Their work later inspired what became known as the hedonic treadmill. The idea was simple. Humans constantly pursue new sources of happiness, new achievements, new experiences, new circumstances. But after some time, we adapt. Like running on a treadmill, we keep moving forward, but often find our happiness gradually moves closer to a familiar level. This idea challenged one of our deepest assumptions, that happiness is waiting somewhere in the future. That once we achieve enough, earn enough, become enough, we will finally feel complete. The promotion, the money, the recognition, the dream life. For many years, this became one of the most influential ways people understood happiness. It seemed to suggest that no matter what we achieved, we'd eventually end up feeling much the same. But later research revealed a more complicated picture. Adaptation is real. But humans are not simply trapped in a cycle of chasing happiness and losing it. The hedonic treadmill does not mean that every achievement becomes meaningless. It means our brains are very good at adjusting to change. And once we understand that, a more interesting question appears. If happiness does not come from achievements alone, then what actually creates lasting well-being? Psychologists have found that happiness is influenced by a combination of factors. Some things are shaped by our biology, some come from our life circumstances, and some come from the choices we make every day. However, happiness is not something we can simply control like a switch. It is not that one achievement creates permanent happiness, or that one habit guarantees it. Instead, lasting well-being seems to come from the way we build our lives over time. The promotion might bring excitement. The new house might bring comfort. The achievement might create a moment we will always remember. But what often lasts longer are the things built around that achievement. The relationships strengthened along the way. The skills developed through the struggle. The sense of purpose created by working towards something meaningful. The achievement changes your circumstances, but the process changes you. And that difference is what determines whether a goal becomes just a moment or becomes part of a meaningful life. Think about what actually lasts. Imagine someone training for their first marathon. Crossing the finish line lasts only a few minutes, but months later, the medal sits in a drawer. What remains isn't the excitement, it's the 5 a.m. runs in the freezing rain. It's the voice in their head that wanted to quit, but didn't. The achievement became ordinary. The person they built during those miles, that person didn't. Because achievements give us moments, but the process gives us something deeper. Growth, meaning, a life we actually experienced. The destination can change your circumstances, but the journey changes you. Maybe the problem was never that our dreams failed us. Maybe we expected them to do something they were never designed to do. We ask achievements to give us something much heavier than achievement itself. A permanent feeling of being enough. A feeling that we have finally arrived. A feeling that the search is over. But no single moment can carry that weight forever, because even the best moments eventually become part of our normal life. But maybe we are looking at it the wrong way. Maybe the purpose of a goal was never to create one perfect moment where everything finally feels complete. Maybe the purpose of a goal was to create a life you actually want to experience. Goals don't just change where your life ends up. They change how you spend your Tuesday afternoons. They change who you call. They change what you tolerate and what you fight for. And if you add up enough of those Tuesdays, that's not just the path to your goal. That is your life. So maybe the goal was never to reach a place where everything feels perfect. Because the truth is, there is no final version of yourself. There will always be another goal, another dream, another mountain to climb. And that's not a flaw in being human. It's what keeps us growing. The mistake was never wanting more. The mistake was believing that the next achievement would finally allow us to start living. Because life isn't waiting for you at the finish line. It is happening in the moments you are so focused on reaching. The conversations, the struggles, the small victories, the person you become along the way. One day, the life you've worked so hard to build will quietly become your ordinary life. And when that happens, don't mistake familiarity for failure. Because sometimes the greatest sign you've grown is that what once felt impossible now feels completely normal. So chase the things that matter. Build the life you want. Just don't wait until you reach it to start living. Because happiness was never waiting at the finish line. It was quietly being built in every ordinary day that brought you there.